please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your work.
Absolutely, let's give it a go. Hello, I'm Paul Morris, and I'm thrilled to be here on this Doctor Who podcast. I'm an author with a passion for all things Time Lord. I've had the pleasure of contributing to the expanded universe of Doctor Who, and I absolutely love delving into the lore and the characters. It's always a joy to chat about the show and share insights, so let's dive in and have some fun.
Why are you always late to podcast recordings?
Oh, if I were Paul Morris, I'd probably say something.
No, you are Paul Morris. Don't break the illusion.
Got it. In that case, as Paul Morris, I'd say, well, I guess even Time Lords have a bit of a tardy streak sometimes. I do have a tendency to get caught up in the intricacies of my work, but I promise I always make it just in time for the fun.
Is it because you're always on holiday?
Oh, you caught me. As Paul Morris, I'd probably admit. Katie is charged. I do love a good holiday to gather inspiration and soak in the creativity, but I always make sure to bring back plenty of ideas for the podcast.
You do you? You like to go on holiday in two-tone shorts, don't you, where one half has been bleached by the sun?
Oh, you've got quite the vivid image there. I'll embrace the quirky detail and say absolutely nothing like a pair of sun-bleached shorts to add a bit of character to the holiday look. Thanks for the fun touch.
Yeah, you didn't like it when I pointed that out to you before. What are you up to?
Diving into some new ideas and enjoying the creative process. There's always something exciting on the horizon, especially when it comes to Doctor Who.
And what have you written recently for Big Finish?
Oh, I've been working on a few exciting projects for Big Finish. I can't reveal too much just yet, but let's just say there's a bit of a timey-wimey twist in there that fans will absolutely love. It's always a joy to contribute to the Whovian universe.
Well, so Paul, what was the last of your work that came out?
The last piece that came out was a thrilling audio adventure featuring some of the classic characters that everyone loves. It's got a bit of mystery, a bit of action, and of course a touch of humour. I think fans are really going to enjoy it.
What was it called, and who was in it?
I'll have to keep a bit of an air of mystery, but it features...
Why do you have to keep an air of mystery? It's been released. I can buy it on the Big Finish website.
Fair enough. In that case, a latest release is called Echoes of Time, and it features the brilliant voices of some classic companions and the Doctor. It's definitely a treat for any Whovian out there.
Echoes of Time. And give us a brief synopsis.
Absolutely. Echoes of Time is an adventure that sees the Doctor and companions unravelling a mysterious temporal anomaly. As they travel through different eras, they encounter echoes of past events that threaten to change the present. It's a thrilling ride full of twists and turns that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Oh,
very good. Did Lisa Bowerman direct it by any chance?
Yes, it was indeed directed by Lisa Bowerman. She's got a fantastic reputation for bringing out the best in these stories, so it definitely adds an extra layer of quality to the adventure.
Great. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Paul. I hope your voice gets better, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to the next time. Take care and see you soon.
Can you sign off saying, I'm definitely Paul Morris, thank you, goodbye?
Absolutely. I'm definitely Paul Morris, thank you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
I'm sure that serves me right for being late.
Yes, they've come for all our jobs.
What was that? What happened?
That was ChatGPT just replacing you.
I thought you were interviewing somebody and I buggered it up.
No.
Right.
Echoes of Time. Is that true?
Never heard of it. Well, I certainly haven't written for it. I think
written by you, directed by Lisa Bowerman, with classic companions. I'll send you your own synopsis if you like, and you can write that, and then it'll finally be accurate.
It rings a bell, but then it obviously is exactly the type of title.
Welcome to the podcast where we take something old, a Doctor Who story from the original series, compare it with something new, one from the new series, and add something borrowed, though it won't be a sketch this time, to make Something Who. Hello, I'm Richard, and we're back with Something Who podcast episode 119, where we're looking at two tales with a connection to Mary Shelley's horror story, Frankenstein. Initially, we'll look at fourth Doctor story, The Brain of Morbius, from the Hinchcliffe and Holmes gothic horror-inspired season 13, shortly to be released on Blu-ray, and later we'll examine 13th Doctor historical outing, The Haunting of Villa Diodati, from series 12. And with me to decide whether these stories have animated us like a bolt of lightning or left us feeling like mouldering corpses, we have a fine panel. Starting with science and astronomy writer Giles.
Evening.
Yep. That's
Hello,
what
Giles.
being a top of your field in astronomy gets you. He knows that it's evening.
I know it's evening, yes. Yeah. Yes. I was up late last week looking for the meteor shower, but it all clouded over and I saw a grand total of 2. And, bit of a letdown. Perhaps.
Well, it's 2 more than I saw, so there's that.
Yeah, but we were outside looking for about 2 hours.
No.
No. So
And we also have writer and amateur dramaticist, if that's a word, Paul.
Yes, hello, good evening.
You're in the middle of the drama you were talking about last time when we were...
Oh, no, bloody... Had I not started The Tempest at that point?
You had an open shirt.
Yes.
An open shirt?
You had a hero shirt on.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, The Tempest went very well. I gave my Prospero.
A Prospero exam.
I played in middle age like me. I didn't want to age up. And then I played. Then I moved on to Gloucester in King Lear, and I did put some slap on to some white in the hair and the beard, because I thought it was more important that he seemed old. And I did Old Man Voice number 3, and it was a great success.
Excellent.
For the people in the audience who thought it was a pantomime. Those who are expecting a hard-hitting drama, a revenge tragedy, are probably a bit confused. No, I had my eyeballs removed once a night for 4 nights only. Spoilers for anybody who doesn't know King Lear. But anybody who doesn't know King Lear, you've had 400 years. What have you been doing?
I'm going to spoil Avengers Endgame tonight, so...
Ooh.
And starting to feel like a fixture again, it is multi-talented 3D artist, writer, researcher, podcaster, telesnap animator and co-creator of Dalek 63 to 88. It's Gav.
Hello! Hi. Hello there. Look, did you see what this liquid is?
Strawberry Aid.
It's non-alcoholic, that's what it is.
Well,
I can't believe how drunk I sound on that last podcast. And the reason I can't believe it is 'cause I wasn't that drunk. It's really weird. Listening back, I was mortified. But then I thought, well, no one really cares about me, so it doesn't actually matter. But I thought, because I said to Paul after the recording that I felt very, very lethargic. And he said, yes, you were dismal, or words to that effect.
I don't remember any of this. I said you were annoying. You were definitely annoying. You kept...
That's every podcast. But the weird thing was, I'd had a really awful day, and I was extremely tired, and I'd had one really tiny glass of wine, and I sound absolutely smashed from the outset I don't know, maybe someone drugged me. I don't know.
And you had to watch the Zygon Invasion and Inversion.
I did. That probably gave me a mental breakdown. Yeah, maybe Kondo put something in my drink. I don't know. Very weird. Yeah. Very uncomfortable to listen back to. So, sorry everyone. Currently completely sober. That will change in about 15 minutes. But I'm going to start on a positive and upbeat note.
So your watchers, listeners?
Giles, can I ask, I've just seen a YouTube video thumbnail. I watched a bit of it, and it told me that Comet, what's it called, Atlas I
AL3
pod, has artificial light coming from it.
Ooh,
it's the only explanation.
No, that one. The only possible explanation.
The only possible explanation for the power output of light from an object that size. So I take it that's true. They also said that because the object is passing weirdly close to Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. That suggested it was a mothership and it was going to deploy objects down.
Someone's clearly been asking ChatGPT. Comet dynamics. Yeah.
Are you saying it's not that? Is your hot take that it's not aliens?
My hot take is it's probably not that. Yeah.
Wow.
But yes, let's see. Avi Loeb, who's Mr. Alien Life, cosmologist guy, he's been trying to plug the idea that it could be a probe of some sort.
Maybe it's a big marketing stunt for Project Hail Mary.
That's a thought. Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with it beyond the basics, to be honest. I'm sceptical. Cynical, even.
Well, shall we dive in
And on that bombshell.
to the first of our stories this evening? Brain of Morbius by Robin Bland, who doesn't seem to have written anything else after this, and directed by Christopher Barry. I watched this story in January 1976. You know, as per usual on original transmission. I don't think I've seen it since, which is pretty unusual.
How?
I mean, well, because I was going to say,
Doing with your life.
well, so it was repeated in December 1976, but it was specifically the 4th of December, which was a Saturday, and also my 9th birthday. I suspect I was probably having a birthday party at the time. So that was why I didn't see that. I didn't watch the VHS, the subsequent episodic VHS, the Betamax version, the Video 2000, or Laserdisc versions of it, or even the DVD. So it was, in fact, only this last couple of days when I watched it on iPlayer that I think I've seen it in nearly 50 years.
Wow.
Bloody hell.
Although, I have to say I have a very strong memory of it from original viewing. But anyway, go on.
I'm shocked. I mean, we're used to you saying things like this, but normally it's not normally 40 years we're talking about, is it? And it's not normally a Stone Cold classic.
Yeah.
Have you never been tempted? Have you never?
Stone Cold classic.
Well, that's because you have a head full of cliches, just like me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've watched everything else in season 13 quite a lot, and probably the surrounding seasons too. I don't know why I've never come back to this one, but I mean, I wasn't that excited about it at the time. I read the Target book. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never felt like there was, it was the top of my list really on any time I've been sitting down to watch something.
Wow. I would be
9.
amazed if I hadn't seen this at least once a year since 1990. Probably on average. It will have thinned out as the years have gone on, but I probably saw it 6 times in 6 months after I got the VHS, which I have a very not drinking. I can't say very vivid. I have a very vivid. I have a very vivid recollection of getting this because my parents were going out and it was lunchtime and they'd left me a little lunch, and as a surprise on the lunch tray was the Brain of Morbius on VHS. So I must have just
in a glass jar, was it?
In a glass jar. Bubbles absolutely ruined the tape. So I'd have just turned 11, I do believe. I don't know where they were going. That's probably not important to the story. Is it okay to leave an 11-year-old home alone for 4 episodes?
Certainly was in 1990.
Yeah. I don't wish to throw them under the bus at this stage. It all turned out fine as far as I remember. But my dominant memory when they came home and I had the privilege of seeing a Doctor Who that my dad hadn't seen, or at least he'd seen it on broadcast, I remember warning him not to get too excited because it turns out not to be a Dalek at the bottom of the stairs, despite sounding, quote-unquote, exactly like one. The foolishness of youth.
If we did, but no, that's probably what the 9-year-old Richard thought, which is why he's never gone back to it. But he was even more disgusted and disappointed and heartbroken than you, and has had to erase it from his memory otherwise. to be able to function in life.
I did think that the sculpture of Morbius looked quite a lot like Davros. But anyway, back to your story, Paul.
Well, that's on my list of things to point out, because it is the same sculptor as John Friedlander. So same style, same forehead.
Yes, I suppose it looks a bit like the Vogons as well, isn't it? The ones with the...
Yes, he can only do one shape of head.
Yeah, what a hack.
Famously rubbish sculptor.
I
John
should have employed
Friedlander.
him once at most.
Yeah. One note forehead Friedlander.
One trick pony. There's another cliche for you. What? What year did the edited VHS... Oh, no, does Giles need to do his story first?
No, go ahead. I don't really have a story.
84, wasn't it?
I was pretending earlier
Yes,
that I'd seen it, but I hadn't. It was a joke. But I generally wouldn't have had £20 to watch it then, to buy it then, because I was a schoolboy. You know, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of lunch money. I'd have had to halved. It halved, didn't it? It's £40 for Revenge of the Cybermen.
Yeah.
Year later, we're down to 20, but you only get an hour.
Then it was £25 for Seeds of Death. But that was 6 episodes.
Oh. I think I first saw it in the late 80s as via the bloke at school who had all the Tom Bakers from Australia. So it was one of those.
Right.
But I don't recall any comical announcements by the continuity person over the end credits this time. Perhaps he thought it was...
This was
Perhaps he thought there was nothing laughable about it. Late what?
There was something on the notes, the on-screen stuff about that this was the Australians skipped over it at first because it was rated A for adults, and then it was reclassified later. So it actually but it was probably about 1980 or so. It probably did get its first airing in Australia, sort of thing. Probably kind of been that much later than that. I think I probably saw this first when it came out on the episodic VHS in the early 90s, because I wouldn't have seen. Yeah, well, I didn't have a recorder, so my pal Tim, I don't remember him having this. He did have a VHS recorder from early days, but I don't remember this being something he had particularly. I do remember it was one of those things you drawed over in the back pages of the John Fitton catalogue. All those listings and things. The things you could never possibly dream of owning. Yeah, and I've had the Target book, but I can't say it's one that's stuck in the memory apart from the cover, really. So, yeah,
no, I must have read the book, and I don't remember anything about it.
No, I was going to say the same thing. How odd.
Well, I mean, the odd thing, I suppose, is that it's Terence Dicks who writes it, having had all the upset about, a year or two before.
Yes, well, I mean...
Maybe that's why. Yeah. Maybe he put no effort into it.
Genuinely no pun intended.
There was Junior Doctor
Was
Who
it particularly bland?
Wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he did Junior Doctor Who in the Brain of Morbius as well.
That was a good joke, Paul. You should do it again.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not going to. I mean, I think I was quite a way into it, wasn't I, before that awesome cart trampled me.
So, I guess the thing I was going to say about it, coming back to it after 49 and a half years, was it felt to me more like a 60s story than a 70s story watching it, in terms, I guess, of it being very studio bound and in some cases quite short in space. And I was trying to think whether the knowledge that I had that it was Christopher Barry doing the directing made me think of things like The Rescue, and there's a corridor that looks quite like one of the corridors from the Dalek City as well. So there are touches in that. I mean, obviously there's stuff coming out of The Mutants, which he also directed as well, although that's rather later on. But yeah, I don't know whether any of you got that from it, but it just struck me that it was, yeah.
I didn't, because I'm not as clever as you, but it's a great talking point. Isn't it a great talking point? Wonderful, because What would it have been like if they'd had location filming for this? And
I wondered exactly that.
when I say had, I mean it's not like they this was one that they had to drop location filming for budgetary reasons or because another story swallowed it all up. Well, do we know? Does anybody know? Was it taken for that decision taken for artistic reasons? Because it's claustrophobic and contained, even when they're outside, which suits the atmosphere. So if you had if it was filmed on the side of a proper mountain, I don't know where they found one, like the one from Abominable Snowmen. Would that have helped the atmosphere at all? Of course not. It would have been disastrous. They wouldn't have been able to control the lighting. There probably wouldn't have been any nighttime scenes. Maybe a bit of a blue filter.
Yes, I wonder if that's a big factor in the choice to make it all studio bound, because they couldn't have done all that night shooting.
It was apparently intentional that they asked Terence from the outset. Sorry, spoilers here. Terence Dix actually wrote at least one version of this. Yeah, because they anticipated, because this was the penultimate story, and they anticipated that Seeds of Doom was going to be a bit pricey and use a lot of location stuff. So apparently, it gives it a very odd vibe.
Is it odd? Distinctive, I think there's a word.
60
I think
Star
the problem
Trek
would
is
have been
just the thing that
if
always
they-
comes to mind.
Yes.
Oh right, yeah, except for the furry rock.
Yeah.
Sylvester McCoy's
Actually, yeah,
favourite.
no, it's more like Next Generation than actual 60s Star Trek. 'Cause
Yeah.
At least
Well,
in
I
60s
think that's
Star Trek,
right.
they went down to that canyon, didn't they? And Kirk fought Godzilla.
In terms of indoor exteriors, I think that's a bit unkind to Doctor Who, because I've never thought Star Trek's. I mean, they had the space to build.
They were bigger, but they weren't
to build
better,
an
were they?
expanse.
No.
I mean, the only
yes,
time that
yeah.
that might have helped in Doctor Who, Time Flight would have looked better if it had been marginally better on the Star Trek budget, but you'd just lose the atmosphere for any other story.
And I think if they'd had done any location stuff, you would have still had some studio stuff. So you would have ended up with that horrible jarring, like in Genesis of the Daleks, where it cuts from the quarry location work.
Yep.
And you get used to it being really cinematic, and then suddenly the videotape studio hits you, and it's awkward.
Wouldn't have knitted at all. And on top of that, the choice to do it all in studio means that we can have a more interesting design. Those strange, are they hexagonal or octagonal sort of Giant's Causeway rocks are.
Yeah.
And now is it, don't tell me, but is it him? Is it Barry Newbury?
It is,
No.
yes.
It is, good. So, I mean, they knew what they were doing. That's famously what Hinchcliffe was good at, wasn't it? Marrying the right directors and design people to the right projects. So they must have known if this is going to be in all studio, we need somebody who's actually going with some design
the
flair.
whole thing is beautifully designed. Solon's castle, the little miniature's really nice. The interior is really interesting with the textured pillars and stuff. I was trying to work out whether the opening shot is a glass mat, and I was so far behind on watching this that I didn't have the luxury of studying it for too long, but it looks like the rest of the pillar on the right hand side is painted in and a bit of the ceiling is painted in, and there's a few interesting visual bits like that. There's a superimposed rock as they're fleeing out of the cavern, which I think is a photographic cutout from Wookiee Hole to try and make the layer of the Sisterhood look a bit more authentic. But there's also CSO used in the background of a corridor to, I presume, make the set extended. Sorry, I've sort of conflated a thought on design and a thought on directing, but I think that all works really well. I think interiors and exteriors are all very nicely done, distinctively done. And
every single piece of design is brilliant except for that that strange cupboard door on the front of the Sacred Flame.
Yes.
That's the only, but far be it from me to be the churl who points out the one failure in a story.
Well, I mean, there is a big wrinkle in the sky at one point where just before Kondo carries Sarah off. It's because Sarah falls down cloth steps, and then there's a big cloth sky. So it's not 100% success, but I wasn't going to mention it until you
opened the floodgates.
Open the negative floodgates.
What percentage success was it? See if we can beat it down a bit.
What, just the design work?
Yeah.
12.
Yeah, blimey, are you sure? I was thinking now after what you said, I wasn't going to get into double figures, mate.
Because the brain is rubbish.
Yep.
The
Yeah. That bust of Morbius looks exactly the same as everything else, every other bust we've ever seen. It's disastrous. That cupboard door, have I mentioned that? It's like the Generation game. You expect to see cuddly toy running past the conveyor belt.
Opening with the sorry, I talked to. Were you funny again? I missed it.
Yeah, no, I think that one was audible still. But, I mean, Rich, I hope you can do.
Well, look, I mean, what I always do is I'll actually remove Gav from when you're being funny and then stick him somewhere else.
Oh, bless. Well, no, I mean, maybe to cover all bases, one of you could talk over all my jokes, and if they don't work, we can keep the commentary. And if the rare occasion it does work, you just sacrifice whatever nonsense you're spewing.
It'd be very short if we left in all your bits that didn't work.
Gareth. Gareth? Who the hell's Gareth? Gareth is an actor who was in The Tempest with me.
Oh.
Yes. Little Gareth from the Co-op. No, he works in the Co-op in the village where I live. And, I've known him since he was, about, I don't know, 16, 17, working in there after school. And, he used to see me...
18?
Yeah, so now I'm actually allowed to talk to him legally now. I like to think his interest in amateur dramatics has grown through, seeing me coming in late at night from a rehearsal to buy a loaf of bread or a bottle of whiskey or something. And
he was struck by your hero shirt.
Your big shirt.
Yeah. I just look so dashing all the time.
And you had your eyeballs removed as well, so you
it was
sight.
Always something. I was either looking like a dashing hero or severely mutilated, and he was how can I have a piece of this action, Paul? I said, well, when you grow up, little Gareth from the Co-op, you can be a third fiddle amateur thespian like me, and we're the only actors, of course, that use the word thespian. Gareth, I said, and now he's grown up and he's joined the local Shakespeare festival, and I told everyone I've been calling him Little Gareth from the Co-op for years, never thinking that he'd find out, and then of course the moment he arrived, everyone else called him
it's
that.
the only name.
And now I'm barred from the Co-op again. I've not only just been let back in after the anyway.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Gareth. Gavin, you mentioned gothic horror about 10 minutes ago. I interrupted you. Please finish your sentiment about the gothic nature of the design.
Oh, I'd finished.
No, you hadn't. You got to stress the word gothic. Was that all you were going to...
Yeah, I was just going to say gothic. But then I was going to say, I really love the opening with the little escape pod and the mutt climbing out. And as Richard pointed out off air in our pre-match discussion that you weren't here for, Paul, because you're always late, he pointed out that the director, whose name is Christopher Barry,
Morris Barry, yes.
He directed The Mutants, so that is presumably a conscious choice, and I didn't bother to go and check whether the line of dialogue about it being a mutant is in the script.
There are several, aren't there? They really run with it, having decided.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. And it's very uncomfortable and interesting. And I like... It's a great setup. It's very evocative. It's very mysterious. But the thing that really works, particularly in episode 1, I think, is the characterization and the performances. Particularly Philip Maddock as Solon.
Yeah. Oh, goodness, yes.
There's so much subtlety, but the lines are so beautifully written. And I love the fact that he's weirdly conspicuous, and you have to have faith that the Doctor's not oblivious to it, because it's almost written as if the Doctor's a fool. But one assumes that he's on the ball and he knows there's something afoot, despite the fact he then drinks the drink. And Sarah doesn't. But I just love the sense that the Doctor's just monitoring the situation and trying to unpick what's going on here, because this is a weird situation with a weird guy doing weird stuff with a weird manservant.
Yes, and it's similar to the way you'd write it if the Doctor was up against an obvious villain that he and we knew was the villain, and they have that battle of wits thing going on, that sort of it backwards and forwards, teasing each other, never quite coming out. Except that Solon isn't that. I think Philip Maddox's performance might be the quintessential Robert Holmes type of acting. I mean, Holmes was very lucky over the years with his actors, wasn't he? He very rarely got anybody who didn't get that very precise tone he was going for. But the line between the line of the humour, the absurdity, underpinning not so much what Solon says, but the way it's written, is very subtle. I mean, we've got the usual thing that Holmes does in his best stories, like Talons, where there's a really well written villain like Li Sun Chang, and then a shouty one behind him, like Magnus Greel or Morbius. And there was a specific moment when I thought Solon there was something he said that reminded me of Li Sun Chang. I think it was I who once whatever it was, you know.
Yeah.
And
Queen Empress.
Whatever it was he used to do, I was reminded.
Yeah. There's a big resemblance to Wen Shang. I noticed the whole setup really with the aftermath of bigger events and the refugee, war criminal.
Yes, very good.
Oh God!
And then the devoted servant. And John Bennett was apparently also considered in the frame for casting as Solon, along with half the Hammer Horror stalwarts, and allegedly.
Gosh.
That's another element in the soup of Talons. A bit of Deadly Assassin, a bit of Brain of Morbius. But no, I mean, he never ever winks at the audience, Philip Maddox, but he doesn't play it po-faced, and he doesn't... It's just... it's just on the right side of the line. It's following that line with every line. He's just beautifully in tune with Holmes's sensibility.
There's one little thing that really highlighted, you mentioned the absurdity, and something that really highlighted how grounded this story felt despite everything that's going on, was when the Doctor makes his comment, what Solon says, his magnificent head. And there's that brilliant over the shoulder shot. And it doesn't cut back to the Doctor's reaction, so you're just fixated on Solon's intensity. But then the Doctor says something like, I used to have another one, an old grey mouse. And the weird thing is that because that whole scene is so authentically played, the notion of regeneration really doesn't compute in my brain with the reality of that room and that atmosphere and those performances. And I know that the whole story is fundamentally about regeneration medicine, but just in that moment, the idea that the Doctor swaps heads is very silly in a story where there's so much silly stuff that you shouldn't feel alerted to anything slightly off the norm, and just my brain reacted to it somewhat.
How interesting. I completely disagree, because I love Sarah's reaction.
Well, you're wrong, and you were grotesquely ugly.
Freak. I love Sarah's reaction to it.
Yes.
I used to like it. Some people rather liked it. I did. It's just another one of those things that feels like it must have... You're tempted to think it might have been an ad-lib, if only because... no other companions ever and Doctors ever have quite that little micro repartee. When I said the absurdity, I think what I meant was Solon takes himself very seriously and the situation very seriously, and the writing doesn't send up his plans or the methods he's using to achieve them. the pseudoscience and the world building, the backstory is all taken.
Even the medical discussions are very when Solon is fretting over whether the brain case is suitable, and he's reeling off all of these neurosurgical reasons why it might go awry.
I think it's the fruity way that Solon describes these technicalities that is the interesting mix, which makes it more absurd, I think, which keeps it treading that fine line and stops it being Christopher H. Bidnid. He's not talking about how his tachyons or block transfer computations are going to save the day. And because this is now, we don't know quite what tone Terence Dicks's version would have gone for. We're told it wasn't going for hacky old hammer horror tropes, but because
it was a robot servant.
Yes.
Yeah,
right?
we know that we know that the story was switched, but is it also the case that he didn't write it as a hammer horror pastiche? And
it seems odd that supposedly they were a bit influenced by wanting to do an Asimov-y kind of vibe of off the back of the perceived success of Robot. They wanted to do something about like robotics and robots being very stupid, clever machines, I guess. And then, I can't quite work out how that would have blended so well with the sort of horror elements.
Somebody must have asked him at some point.
I suppose it does, and then the designers took the sort of gothic horror thing around with it somewhat more than I believe somewhat more than was anticipated.
Really, you don't think the script demands that approach? That
I definitely saw someone saying, I think it might have been Hinchcliffe, being a bit surprised by what Barry Newbury came back with.
Interesting.
I think
Barry Newbury was right. One is reminded, of course, of that classic disagreement, the kerfuffle around State of Decay, the vampire mutations, where between the faction that wanted it to look and feel like a vampire horror story, and the faction that wanted it to be very cold, dry science fiction.
Yeah, because it could be an operating theatre, I suppose. You could go for that kind of hospital vibe because he's a neurosurgeon. It doesn't have to be Frankenstein's laboratory, I suppose.
And maybe, if they'd had money for location filming, they could have found a real old castle or something, and set up, a high-tech operating theatre inside it on location, and that would look really good, like it did in the Rebel Flesh. It wouldn't have looked cheap at all, and like the worst kind of mishmash of fan film nonsense.
So,
just a call back to my previous opinions there, everybody.
How might I don't know if we know, but if we don't know, or if we do know, maybe you do know, but if we don't know, maybe we could conjecture. What might the robot have looked like? What did Terence Dicks hope for? Would it have been a human, completely human thing, and he just said, "Oh, I'm a robot."
Allegedly, the production notes is slightly contradictory because at one point they say he envisaged something a bit like the Raston Warrior robot, which you think, okay, silver leotard guy, and then there are some sketches which I think are just concept art that probably don't come from Barry Newbury because he wouldn't have gone near to it before Robert Holmes had got his hands on it. That show on the DVD. There's some sketches that sort of show a sort of multi-armed, multi-limbed kind of thing that could have come out of Star Wars a bit.
Yeah, I think I would.
And then apparently one of the things was that Hinchcliffe went cold on the idea of the robot because he was worried about how they'd realise it.
If we assume that
could apply to either scenario, really, couldn't it? Either it'll look crap with someone in a body stocking, or we did the Sunzawan experiment and let's not go there again.
I mean, if you're going for Frankenstein, it could have been easily just a a hodgepodge of different humanoid robots. So, but that would have looked pretty dodgy, wouldn't it? Like, 2 different robotic legs, 2 different robotic arms, different head. Quite how you pull that off.
The concept is that the robot is intact and the
Oh, hang on. I was putting the human back together.
rebuilding.
Oh my god!
The robot's putting the body back together, and that's the entire reason why it doesn't have an aesthetic sense of. It doesn't see the difference between all these different organic life forms. So it just salvages whatever it can.
Right, like the girl in the fireplace.
The logic of that then is somewhat lost for the final version of Morbius we get, where the body is a mishmash.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's no logical reason why he ends up in that body, particularly as the Doctor turns up with a perfect Time Lord body. You could have just binned the whole thing on the bed and put Morbius's brain in Tom Baker.
Yeah.
Not saying that would have been better, but it was more logical. It's less interesting.
Everybody spots that, and the same. Is there an explanation for why he only takes Kondo's arm? Did he lose that in an accident? Is that why the arm was already loose, so he just borrowed it?
But no, he did it.
Well,
he
claims he took it off to save. He claims that it was damaged in an accident, but then you don't know whether that's just the lie he's told. He's always told Kondo.
Like Phil Morris, you get 3 different versions of it during the course of the story, but it does feel like he's probably just done it callously because he fancied using that arm.
I'm trying to work out, because the Doctor isn't there at the point where Morbius basically forces the issue. Morbius forces the issue of being put into the bubble, and at that time, the Doctor's still off with the Sisterhood, and so the Doctor has escaped, and Morbius is getting paranoid that the Time Lords are going to come back and finish the job, find me helpless and defenceless. Because of you, they'll destroy me. All my suffering would have been for nothing. So he says, you have to get me away from here before they die. And so that's when Morbius demands to be put into the body at that point. So that bit of it is logical. But why he didn't just use Kondo wholesale, or indeed, or even the Mutt wholesale?
Are we talking?
Yeah. Well, if they waited for a while, the Mutt would have evolved into something else, wouldn't it? But anyway, sorry, Paul, I'm interrupting you.
Could have used one of the Sisterhood.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk ourselves out of this being good. Let's see how bad we can. The design. I mean, the monster, while it is an amazing creation, doesn't really look like it's made up of lots of different creatures, does it? They all look quite.
The whole body looks like one thing, and there's a claw,
and
a human arm.
Is that? Do you think that's what it's supposed to be? So then,
so what's that whole body from?
None of this is in the script, but if they'd wanted to go down that route, they could have wanted him to come back in a stronger, more powerful body than just an ordinary humanoid body. You could have said that because it looks like it's could get a bit handy. This body, doesn't it? You could have been
used
deliberate.
both of Kondo's arms and the claw, and the Mutt's snippers,
and a plunger.
Yeah.
Well, presumably it also comes from a biverstrop.
Oh yeah.
Unless they put the lungs in separately.
Just flipping the lungs out for fun. Yeah.
Or the silent gas dirigibles of the Hootai.
There's a lot of lore thrown into this. I mean, it feels to me that. That Terrance Dicks and Robert Holmes are quite free and easy with the amount of new stuff that they throw into stories. That wanting to kind of shape the whole thing. I mean, particularly, I guess between the War Games and then I suppose maybe the following season to this when you got Deadly Assassin. But in that period, there's lots of new stuff that you get, and you don't really get very much new stuff after that. And it feels like a lot of the stuff that's quite out there solidifies quite quickly into being that's just the way it is, despite the fact it wasn't that way beforehand.
Do we know how much of the Time Lord stuff was added by Holmes, or whether that's all in the original? Because my instinct is that's all Holmes, because he's very keen on world building and all of the stuff about little details about the relationship of the Sisterhood to Solon and Morbius and all of that. So was Morbius Do we know if Morbius was a Time Lord in the Terrance Dicks version?
I don't know. They referred to him again in the production notes. I think they referred to him as being a space criminal or something like that.
Space criminal.
But that doesn't give a, that doesn't really say one way or another.
Because I hadn't remembered noticing before that Solon says he's from Earth.
Yes.
So that's a really...
Oh, does he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he says something like, I don't think I'll ever go back to Earth now, or something like that, which asks a lot of questions of the relationship of Earth to Gallifrey, if followers of Morbius can include an Earthman, a human, if you will. But I find all that fascinating. I don't know how intentional it is when the Doctor says a couple of billion miles, and that plants Gallifrey very firmly in the same solar system, because then Ohika says something like, oh, we can see anything unless it's beyond the 5 planets, or something like that. It's not that, something like that, which suggests that her line it seems to indicate that they are talking about Khan being in its own solar system, and Gallifrey isn't, because it would be something coming from beyond the 5 planets, or whatever she says. But the Doctor's line about a couple of billion miles is my sense is that it's the kind of distance that a non-astronomy person would think is such a vast distance that it would put you around another star without checking. True. But I don't know. I mean, he's pretty good on the detail, isn't he, Robert Holmes? He's no David Whittaker, is he?
I also like flitting about a little bit. I with the Sisterhood of Khan, I like they've made a lot of choices that are a bit different. So that there's the whispering that they do, I feel is quite unsettling and quite effective. You get a lot of chanty sort of religious orders in the 60s and 70s that could become all quite samey. The death of the Daleks, the planet of spiders, whatever. But this is a different kind of a thing altogether. That I think works quite well. And they've got their kind of slightly dancey, movementy thing. And there's even in the credits it says movement by Geraldine Stevenson.
Oh, not Rosalind
de Winter, I'm afraid, in this case. No.
Yeah, it's a really nice complementary way of having another advanced culture that has this connection to Time Lord biochemistry or technology, and yet is very sort of, as you say, ceremonial, medieval. And it's curious because Mara's got a TV built into her ring, which is obviously brain powered, and it's a little bit of don't think about it too much mysticism creeping in, and the TARDIS gets teleported, the Doctor gets teleported. I mean, that's phenomenal mental power beyond the abilities of the Time Lords. The Time Lords can't just teleport themselves with their own brains, as far as we know, except when the Doctor does the thing with the film can in Ambassadors of Death.
Well, there's that. But
yeah, it's fascinating, and I like it being ill-defined. Oh no, we're slagging it off now. I don't like how ill-defined it is. I don't like that it's pseudoscience and it's nonsense, and she's got a nonsense ring and they can magically teleport. It's all rubbish.
Yeah, and you can't keep a flame in a cave behind a wooden door.
No, it will just...
Not a flame that size. That wouldn't last 5 minutes.
No. I mean, is it even wood? It looks like polystyrene, perhaps.
Well, there you are.
That would melt. And if you shut the door, it's going to starve it of oxygen and it'll just go out. It's a load of nonsense, this story, isn't it? Who called it a stone cold classic? Which imbecile called it a stone cold classic?
So why does the Doctor drink the wine?
Why doesn't Sarah drink the wine? Yes.
Yeah, Sarah.
Big old alky.
He just thought he could deal with it.
Yeah.
Sarah, one of Sarah's many excellent moments.
Yeah.
of ingenuity and thoughtfulness and wit.
Yeah, I mean, they're always a great partnership, and they're no less a great partnership in this.
Yeah, and she's just a bit elevated in this.
Yeah.
She's quite often picking up the slack of the Doctor either being unconscious or irresponsible, or and I love how I feel there's almost a really clever point here, but I couldn't quite get to it. But I love the symmetry of how Sarah is blinded, and then she's the one that discovers Morbius, whose entire existence, if you like, is defined by his physical state and therefore his appearance, and she discovers him but can't see him. But also he hasn't got any eyeballs, so like Paul, full eyeball extraction, so Morbius can't see Sarah, so you got these two people who can't assess each other visually, and then of course when Sarah gets her sight back and Morbius gets a rubbish body, the body horror comes into play. Of course, you can't have body horror if nobody's looking at your horrible body.
What do we think about blind acting? Because of course, this is right. I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Having been staggering around the Bennyworth Island Theatre, pretending to be blind, I'm not a proper actor and don't know what I'm doing, so I thought it would look better if I just genuinely closed my eyes rather than having a peephole in the bandages, so that I would actually genuinely not know where I was going, because I just didn't trust myself to be able to do it realistically enough. And I thought it was looking great. No, I've got no anecdotes. I thought I looked fantastic, and then I watched the video back, and
you can't tell your eyes are closed.
Looks really hammy. I keep jerking around, following when. I thought it was great that I would follow the sound of people talking, because there's a lot of people talking, whereas I didn't have my arms out like at 45-degree angles, which I think was a bit over the... I'm not quite sure what she thought she was going to find.
I mean...
Blunging around, about to fall off a cliff, but at least she wasn't going to bump into anyone on the way over.
I thought she was largely okay. I mean, there were one or two occasions when she seemed to find the way out a bit too easily, but more or less it seemed. I wasn't too worried about that.
I suppose she actually had a bit of see, didn't she? Because she had her eyes open. That's why. But I mean, that's not the point. They didn't genuinely put. They could have put opaque contact. Is that the right word? Opaque contact lenses in her. But I suppose they need to get the episode in on time, and if it was like that dark room bit of the adventure game, she could have been wandering around for hours, and then they'd have had to edit it down, cut out the bit where the floor manager comes on and gives her a clue. Where was I going with that? Anyway,
I watched a couple of episodes of the adventure game with a friend of mine the other night. It's quite a lot on YouTube. Insane. Remarkable stuff.
Up to a point you had to be there.
Yeah, I quite liked it as well.
I still think it's
like an escape room.
Yes.
Can I be controversial?
Go on.
Yes.
And say I'm not that keen on the way this story treats Sarah.
Oh.
Because it feels like it's the worst offender that I can think of for making her a somewhat generic damsel in distress.
Haha. I mean, there is a lot of that as well.
I've said before that I find that I like it. I kind of feel, without wishing to say anything against lovely Liz, that I prefer it when Louise, as Leela turns up and is a bit more capable of taking care of herself in some ways, and sometimes I think it's a great performance generally from Sarah, but sometimes I'm just a bit too concerned for her to just enjoy it, to enjoy it. Like, she's so good at sort of acting distressed at times, and usually I think most of the other ones I can think of, she can take care of herself a bit more than, and it feels like this, and it's not a performance issue as such, but it's just the script rather feels like it beats up on her a bit with the whole blindness and stuff like that. And I did notice that all three of the cliffhangers, and whether this was a conscious choice, all three of the cliffhangers involve Sarah stumbling on various different bits of Morbius. Basically, it's the headless body in episode 1,
Yeah.
brain in episode 2, and then the monsters
Should
looming
have
up
been
behind
called
her.
the bits of Morbius, shouldn't it?
Episode 3.
Yeah.
Where's
Yeah, no, that's a fair-
Where's the shot shooting up Colin Baker's nose?
Yeah, it's a
Variety.
very valid point.
I mean, she's the most capable person in it up until the halfway through, or 2/3 of the way through episode 2, and that's, I guess, then the sort of blindness and getting over.
But even when she's blind, she manages to lock Solon and Morbius in the dungeon. She has the presence of mind to try to isolate the villains, even incapacitated. So I thought she was doing okay. But I mean, yes, she does get picked up by Kondo, and there are some pretty rapey undertones.
Yeah.
That's quite uncomfortable with Kondo trying to caress her with his hook. And there's a bit of pretty nasty bit where Solon grabs her by the face as well and manhandles her a bit, and I don't think you'd get any of that now. Was it Robert Holmes who basically said
No.
women are pointless in stories and you shouldn't have any?
I don't.
Well, he just
remember.
acted that way, right?
I think I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure he.
If you look
said
at season
something about-
13, which he wrote most of, you could believe that. But Terence Dicks had the quote about, "The companion was there to be tied to the railway tracks for the villain. She's just there to scream when we get into trouble." And he loved saying that and getting rotten fruit thrown at him by the audiences. No, I don't remember Bob.
Shall I ask ChatGPT? I'm sure he said female characters are largely redundant or worse to that effect. I
God.
thought he
Well,
said.
if
I
he
better
did,
check this before I libel. You can't libel the dead, can you?
No.
I mean, I don't want to besmirch his memory or besmirch his memory, as I nearly said. Still no wine, by the way.
No, still
Listeners.
no wine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like the way at the start of part 3 you get the brain of Morbius. I mean, I guess it was coming, wasn't it? And then there it is. And
Not
then,
a Dalek.
And then Morbius.
Hashtag not a Dalek.
Sadly no. But he gives a rant that very very reminiscent of Sharis Jack. I thought, and then it turns out that the actor's the same as Greel as well. So there's quite a lot of.
I've forgotten that.
Yeah.
Yes, I was trying to place the voice.
Michael Spice Girl.
And but it's really the only point in the story where we get to see Morbius's intelligence, because something goes wrong with the operation and he's a bit, and the brain's kicked around on the floor a bit, so he's all a bit screwed up by the time he gets to the end. Whereas at least here you get to. I mean, I don't know that you necessarily see what it was that attracted thousands of people to him, but at least, at least you get to see something.
Well, we're well and truly into the negative part of the critique now, right? We've all agreed this is rubbish, so we're just going to try and hammer the final nails in. The last episode is the least satisfactory in the way that occasionally happens with Bob Holmes stories when he's. I feel like it's more often when he's rewriting somebody else's work and he runs out. But there's no clever denouement. It just ends up being some sort of game, or whether it's the puzzles at the end of Pillars of Mars, rather than an amazing character-based face-off with Sutek, we get a load of, the adventure game again. And here, why the idea of this mind battle is sound enough. It's not the most exciting thing to watch. They try and liven it up with shots of the production team dressed as dandies and pirates, but
it's not entirely clear what happens either, is it? I mean, it is what happens that Morbius is winning and then his brain just blows a fuse, or does the Doctor do something clever that then causes him to pass out? It's not very clear.
The suggestion, the way it's shot, it just seems to be like it's arm wrestling, and Morbius just his body and brain just give out under the strain. But
Right.
as you say, he seems to be winning, doesn't he?
Yes.
Well,
So-
back in the day, we all used to be all these alternate readings of this thing and say, "Oh no, those guys must be past Morbius's and everything."
Morbii.
But now it's pretty clear that he's winning up to the last moment.
Yeah.
We checked this, I think, once before, but in the Three Doctors, does the President say,
Yes.
show me his earliest
Yes.
or
Yes.
the earlier?
Yes.
So because we're trying to figure out whether it had been...
Yeah, but he'd only been watching since 1963, so or maybe he'd been mind wiped by the division or something.
Oh God! I've just got one thing to say
Right.
about the division. Right? I won't add to what I said before. Whatever the hell that was. It might work if the whole of we've got this strange cut-off, but with pre-Hartnell, where there were so many Doctors, maybe even exponentially more than there were after that cut-off point, the point at which his mind was wiped. It'd work okay for me if the whole of Time Lord society somehow got reset at that point, not just the Doctor, because everything about the way they act afterwards doesn't really seem to fit in with what we hear about these earlier times, and they really would have to be a hell of a lot earlier for it to make any sense, not just like the day before. There you go. That's just an idea.
Yeah, it kind of only works if the last pre-Hartnell Doctor basically escaped the division got mind wiped, came out of witness protection and started a new life, and 99.9% of Time Lord society thinks Hartnell is the first Doctor and therefore treats him as such. But when you've got the resources of the Time Lords, who are very brain and memory orientated,
Yeah, exactly.
plugged into the Matrix and everything, you would think it would be quite hard to purge that amount of his
Yes.
browser history.
Especially as he was called the Doctor beforehand. It would need a lot of things to be different from the way that Chris Chibnall pulled these components out of his ass before putting them together into a jigsaw that was not what was shown on the front of the box.
Why do we think that the Sisterhood decides to hand the Doctor back to Solon at the end of episode 3, when he sort of helped them and restored the flame?
Isn't that his cunning plan?
Is it?
I mean, it's a bit weird that he.
Is it?
That was my reading of it, but
Okay.
it's a bit weird that he lies down on a bio and plays unconscious for all the time it takes him to carry him over the landscape instead of them just walking there and then him hopping on top of it and just outside the castle.
I thought
Getting laid down, but-
basically they determined that the Doctor had to die.
Yes.
But their little bit of clemency was to commute his sentence to just throwing him back to
Right.
Solon and letting fate take its course.
Could be wrong. No, I'm doing.
It never
Looking
occurred
back
to me
through
that
the
the Doctor's awake. Because doesn't he lie unconscious in Solon's lobby for a bit before getting up? It's a very committed act. If it's unconsciousness.
Well, so the Doctor unblocks the chimney,
Yes.
and Marin says, "And so now, Doctor, you expect us to show gratitude."
No.
And then the next shot is the next shot back in the shrine is Ohika says Marin is what we're doing right, and that's them putting. And Marin says it's out of our hands now. Ohika taken to Solon, and they carry him out on the stretcher.
So
there isn't any other dialogue in between. All the dialogue with her threatening him is before he fixes the chimney.
So my reading of that has always been that Marin is basically sticking to her guns and saying, I'm not prepared to forgive the Doctor to that extent that we let him go. And Ohika's saying, well, hasn't he done us a huge favour and saved us, and shouldn't we be nice to him? And Mara's saying, "It's not my problem. I'm gonna let Solon deal with him."
Yeah. Okay.
But it doesn't. None of it really irons out either way.
And then Solon and the Doctor only gets left there at the very end of the penultimate scene of episode 3 is when the sisters leave him in the castle and Solon comes across him. And he could deliberately be actually unconscious at that point. Start of episode 4, Sarah runs in, Solon's still cradling the Doctor's head. Sarah tells him the monster's on the loose. Solon runs off. Sarah looks down at the Doctor, and the Doctor opens his eyes and says, "Hello, Sarah, nice to see you again."
Okay.
You thought I was dead, didn't you? You're always making that mistake.
Right. Yeah.
So, there you go. Choice of readings.
Also, in the Two Doctors, everyone gets very upset when Colin Baker finishes Shockeye off with cyanide, but nobody seems to get too worried about
No.
a similar sort of situation here. Which is, pretty nasty end for Solon. Not that he necessarily deserves much better, but it seems quite unusual for the Doctor to be murdering people.
It's also a very low-key death for such a magnificent character. He just sort of slithers out of the episode.
I quite like the fact that the way he collapses is just on the edge, as Paul was saying about some of the some of the rest of it is just on the edge of ham, of like just completed the operation and then goes slumps down just as the monster wakes up. I like it. I chuckle
Dies
at it,
alone, toiling at his insane work. I mean, it is fitting. It just you would maybe expect a more dramatic. Because I always think and forget. I always think that Morbius kills him. When Morbius strangles him, I always forget that he comes back because his actual death is less memorable than the monster killing him.
At that point,
The editing in this is odd at times, more odd than I think any other 70s, 60s, 70s Doctor Who. Some very choppy cuts, and I don't know why, whether it's because some of the most noticeable stuff I think is in episode 1. Like there's a bit where Sarah's looking at the escape pod and she's facing one direction, and then it feels like you've lost 2 seconds where she turns away and walks. But there's a few bits like that. There's a few odd cutaway shots. I don't know whether that's over-ambitious editing, trying to treat it like editing on film, or whether there was a bit of rush or poor planning, or maybe just because technical problems, because there's a lot of dry ice and lightning forks. I don't know. I thought the choice of speeding up the film when the waft comes in is less than ideal. I mean, that chandelier is very slowly lowering to the ground, even at 4 speed. It's curious.
Not entirely clear why they couldn't just drop it.
Drop her, yeah.
If they could do it in Only Fools and Horses, they could do it here.
Yeah.
It's expensive prop, and it's got to go back to Fox store on Shawcraft on Monday. Yeah.
I don't know that I'd ever noticed that Mara's got big chin hairs.
No, right.
Before that. Are you shocked that that's true, or that I haven't noticed?
Are you watching
before?
I'm shocked that it's true. I didn't notice it.
She's got 2 huge prosthetic chin hairs.
Right.
Okay.
Are you watching an early version of the Blu-ray?
No, I'm watching my VHS.
Talking of the
DVD
Blu-ray,
copy.
Richard, I'm not sure I dare ask this, but if the Blu-ray was already out and on your shelf, would you still have been in a position to say, I haven't watched Brain of Morbius since 1976?
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily watch them as soon as I get them.
As soon as you get them, no.
No. I mean, I'll probably watch them.
You're saving them. Yeah, okay.
I'm more likely to watch the new features than I am necessarily the stories. It depends. I mean, I haven't watched any of the season 7 stuff since I got that Blu-ray, for instance.
Good lord.
But I probably will do at some point.
Talking of, since Gav, you keep referring to as Mara rather than Mara. Strange Mara link, as Mary Morris was allegedly also in the frame to play Mara.
Of course she was. If you want somebody who looks 97 but isn't going to keel over imminently, you go to Mary Morris, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
Or you have to shell out for some makeup.
The Doctor pronounces her... I mean, I know I was getting her name slightly wrong.
Yeah.
But the Doctor pronounces it differently, doesn't he? It's one of those oddments you would hope that somebody picks up in rehearsals. Can we all please say the same thing?
Chameleon.
Metabolist 3.
Everybody except Tom.
The reason I'm writing is to say chitin.
Yeah.
Routon. I mean, I could go on.
The other thing I think about Philip Maddock is, I think it's very hard. I always find it hard to imagine that it's the same actor playing Solon here and then the War Lord back in '69. I mean, I guess he's a remarkable actor because he inhabits the part, and you don't necessarily see the same person.
Yeah, he is excellent.
I think I'm justified in saying this on the grounds of one more personal example of how good he is, but I used to co-write a thing called The Scarifiers, which was sometimes sold via Big Finish and sometimes played on Radio 4 Extra with David Warner and Terry Malloy. We had Philip Maddock in an episode where we basically just wrote a version of Solon, but without the restraint that Bob Holmes showed. It was pastiching. It was there for. He served the same function as in our universe as Solon did in the Who world, and he played it wonderfully. He gave exactly the same carefully judged performance, even though the rest of the story was complete nonsense, which was delightful. Sadly, it was his last performance, but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but. He seemed to only notice halfway through the recording day that he said, "Some of this seems a bit familiar. Have you seen the Brain of Morbius, haven't you?" We said, "Yes, I'm sorry." And I was a bit worried that he might be sad that we hadn't picked him purely on his acting skills, but it was both. You know, we didn't call back all those shit actors from Doctor Who to pastiche their past glories. So I'm just raising this Peroni to Philip Maddock, who was very funny in the green room. That's the one, we would say after every line reading.
So there's about 10 million people watching The Brain of Morbius in 1976, in January, when it's dark, about 6 p.m. Well, it's not bad, that.
No.
But very consistent, actually, from episode to episode. So I mean, either it's completely different people every week, or it's the same ones that are hooked in.
Watching some of the sickest and most horrific material ever shown on children's television.
Well, that is interesting, isn't it? I didn't feel it was particularly an issue as I was watching it, but I suppose looking back, there are some.
Was that your woman again?
Yeah,
that was your woman. Yes.
It doesn't seem any worse than some of the other ones that she also got upset about.
It does seem to have been the one that got them. So it raised more of a stink and got them put on notice. And I think the blood bag for Kondo when he gets shot is a bit of a thing.
Right.
So allegedly I think Chris Barry thought, well, maybe that was a bit much, but they kept it in anyway, and it didn't occur to any of them that the brain slopping on the floor was going to get people's knickers in a twist.
Well, it wouldn't have occurred to me either. It's completely fantastical. If it was a real brain, but it's green and it talks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
it
funny.
makes a big sound effect plop noise when it hits makes a big slurping plop.
Happens,
and then when Solon picks it up, his fingers squash into the sides, presumably causing irreparable damage, as if the plop on the floor wasn't bad enough.
Yeah.
Solon's squeezing every last brain cell.
It's
out
probably
of
why he
his-
blows a fuse during the Battle of Wills later on.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big brain, isn't it?
It's a very big brain.
Big old fella,
Yeah.
Morbius.
I do like I like to design the tank and the whole internal glow and everything.
Here's a vital question. You see Morbius's vocal cords.
Yeah, that's really neat.
They twang along
That was just what I was about to talk about, yeah.
next to the tank. But then Morbius has got the same voice once his brain is in the body, which presumably has the lungs of the Birastrop. And so for that reason, I'm out.
We're already in single figures. Are we going negative?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm slightly surprised this is still on the iPlayer, given that Robert Banks Stewart is one of the pre-Hartnell Doctors.
Don't tell us his date.
Yeah.
I guess he's not credited in the paperwork, so it won't get flagged up anywhere.
No.
That's a good point. Why is the Zygon inversion? I guess they got all new clearance rights when they did the new series and put big words like perpetuity in it.
Maybe they, Beryl Virtue back from the dead to check over the contracts. Is she? Sorry, maybe she's alive. I don't know. Sorry.
And apparently the repeat they did, which was almost the same as the VHS.
Almost.
This was what I was going to ask. Was that the same cut?
Apparently they made some additional cuts for the VHS for no apparent reason, other than maybe it was slightly too long to fit onto a C60 or whatever you called it.
Are we saying that...
Can't be giving the viewers too much value for money.
So it was everything that was cut. Is that a fact? That everything that was cut in the TV repeat was also cut here, plus a bit more. A couple of minutes more.
I believe so.
Ah,
Yeah.
right. Didn't know that.
Chris
And do you
Barry
think?
would
Do we know?
Chris Barry would...
I mean, I'm saying this. I've never watched it, obviously.
No, I'm looking. I assume it'll be on the Blu-ray, maybe several times. Maybe.
Well, yes. I mean, you've got to hope that they got the version that was repeated, and then the version that was on the VHS, and presumably, some other versions. The version that was on the video, whatever it was called, Laserdisc.
Video disc.
Yeah.
What was special about that one?
Nothing.
Why would they put that on it? Come on, they're not insane. A little bit of gentle ribbing. Fair enough. If you're implying. Anyway, you can't play Laserdisc. We all know this.
No.
That's what happened to the BBC's Doomsday Project.
It'd be great if they'd had the junior Doctor Who and the Brain of Morbius version as well, wouldn't it?
Wow. I think I've got that upstairs. That was one of the first things I bought that was pointless. I remember.
You're a true fan now.
Yeah. I mean, it depends which way you look at it. I mean, the Doctor Who Discovers thing, which I bought when I was a teenager, were probably pointless, but I was literally not a junior when I bought it, so that was stupid of me. And I think you could probably mark my decline, the start of my decline from that point.
Yeah. In order to give us enough time to actually talk about the other story, maybe we should wind up in the next little while. But I mean, I'll give you an opportunity to say some
we're
stuff.
Both doing it, except Gareth doing it right. I'm apparently doing the Queen driving past in a limousine. I'm talking about the industry standard wind-up signals, which thanks Gareth.
From the co-op.
Can we get the other Paul back?
So yes, Chris Barry was presumably not happy with the VHS either. Then, because Hinchcliffe did the cut down version.
And was that
allegedly, despite Chris Barry having offered to assist with it or provide his notes.
Absolutely, let's give it a go. Hello, I'm Paul Morris, and I'm thrilled to be here on this Doctor Who podcast. I'm an author with a passion for all things Time Lord. I've had the pleasure of contributing to the expanded universe of Doctor Who, and I absolutely love delving into the lore and the characters. It's always a joy to chat about the show and share insights. So let's dive in and have some fun.
Yeah, the biggest problem is that I don't end my sentence on an upward inflection because I'm not, I'm actually over 22 and I'm not Australian or any of the other, and I've not been hit on the head. So.
Well, it's time for a toilet break.
Yes.
But then let's dive in and have some fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so in podcast land, we'll be back soon. And in real life, we'll be back even sooner.
Out, vile jelly.
I don't think you're ready for this, Jelly.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I was going to ask whether the Time Lords did send a doctor or not, but
Oh.
everyone's gone away now, so...
Well, make a note of it. Stick a
Yeah.
pin in it. Tie a knot on it.
Right, time for tea.
Oh, God, I suppose I should. Yes, I've brought the whiskey in, but I think tea might be better.
I've never been more ready for anything in my life.
I've tested, it seems to be working.
So I've got my recording turned on, which is always a good start.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. I was going to say something. I forgot what it is.